Yo, welcome back, fellow internet people, to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
And I'm Andrew.
And in today's episode, we've got a bunch of quick hit EV stories, electric car stuff, our first thoughts on the Steam Deck. Also on TikTok now allowing 10-minute videos. We wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
And then, of course, the fact that in 2022, we still don't have an Instagram iPad app. But first, Tesla's Plaid badges.
It seems like new Teslas are rolling out now with new headlights and taillights, right? The new Plaids. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's all new Model S's and probably also Model X's. Got a little bit of a refresh.
Yeah.
The refresh is new headlights and taillights. And then the Plaid ones, it seems, are also getting a new badge.
Yeah, and kind of like the Reddit thread about the headlights and taillights very quickly devolved into a giant conversation about how, because if we all remember the Plaid badges, the one that specifically looked like from Spaceballs, the Plaid like moving in light speed,
right,
were only for the first 25 cars.
Right, so if anybody bought a Model S or Model X Plaid and actually had it delivered, the badge on the back just said Plaid in text. It was just a silver PLAID text. But there is, yes, the special edition first 25, including mine somehow. So maybe 26, I don't know.
Maybe.
But there's a small number of them that had this visual version of the Plaid badge, which was like the Spaceballs thing. Looks like they're going to just be doing that for all of them now, although it is a little bit different. Yeah. And so if you get real close to the back of the car, you could probably visually be able to tell. Actually, you can just look at the taillights. But you can tell which one's which. So now I guess my car, being one of the ones with the old headlights and taillights, but with the Plaid Spaceballs badge, is a special unicorn.
Yours is a unicorn in that sense, but I also want to talk about how this new badge, at first glance, looks exactly the same. But when you compare it to yours, they're actually really, really different.
Yeah, the old one's better.
Way
to be
better.
clear.
Way better.
Yeah, so the old one's it's more of like this 3D like chamfered look. It's and there's a texture to it, and you can see the depth off the back of the car.
And it's got like physical pieces that are missing in it because Plaid has, lines that are crossing together, so you wind up having squares that see through it. So depending on what color of the car you have, that might be coming through the back of it as well. And it just looks amazing. This new one looks like if Etsy was making a refrigerator magnet of the Plaid.
It's funny.
Badge.
There were actually people making secondhand, like you could get one of these from Etsy, like you could get a secondhand version, and even those look better than this because those were also like see-through with body color showing through.
And like chrome and
And this sounds like such a small thing, but in like McLaren land and Porsche land where like every single little thing is an option. I was going through, you can look at Porsche's configurator and literally you can configure like the tiniest, like obviously the back of the side view mirrors. Do you want that to be body color or black or carbon fiber? Do you want your taillights to be clear or red? Do you want the bar to be clear? Do you want the text inside of the taillight bar to be black or body color or white? Like you can do every little thing and customize it to be exactly the spec you'd want. Teslas don't really have options like that. It's like, which outside color do you want? Which inside color do you want? FSD or nah, ship it. So this is just like everyone who gets a Plaid gets this one, and that's just the way it is now.
Yeah, would you rather have the new Plaid badge or just say Plaid?
I like the badge. I think the badge is cool because it's still like it's funny, everyone always looks at this like special performance level and says, oh, the car's got to look special to match its performance level. And there was something so understated about you not knowing that this was the fastest sedan in the world until you get real close to it and see that it says Plaid instead of long range, and you're like, oh, it's that one. But yeah, I think this badge is a little something special because, you need a little something special.
I think I would pick this badge if the car was black. If it was not black, I think it would really annoy me because like the edges of the rectangle are black.
It would look like you put a magnet on the back of your car.
Yeah, it would look really bad on, I think, a different color, unfortunately. All right, next up, Rivian R1T, a truck that we have mentioned on this podcast so many times for so many reasons, mostly because I really like it. I think you really like it as well. We had a ton of fun driving it. We've seen some stuff in the news recently where cars were getting delayed. We were even wondering kind of how much they were really shipping. We saw that some of them were going out, but that a lot of people who ordered the 400-mile version got delayed till 2023, which is now already like on top of a delay.
I knew that was going to happen.
We all kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
Now the issue kind of arises in a bunch of people earlier this week who are reservation holders got emails about a price increase. And it's not just a little price increase.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a bit. I have a couple tweets here from Quinn, from John Rettinger, Zach's Cherry Rig Everything. I think Quinn's was like 15,000 extra. John's was 10,000 extra. Zach's was 10,000 extra. Like,
so they all had R1T orders in.
Yep.
And all of them got some sort of a notification that their price would be going up and that they would not honor the previous price that they thought they were going to get the truck at. So if you ordered it at 83,000 or whatever, and you got the email saying, this truck is actually now $95,000.
I think all of them are now over 100.
Yeah. Then
all of those people that I just talked about, not every single. Sorry. Yeah.
So now, I think Zach's point, in his tweet, he says he would have talked about it a little bit differently if it was a $100,000+ truck versus like an $88,000 truck. That difference does mean a lot, especially in people's minds.
And when you're not getting anything extra from it, like they're not saying like, oh, we're adding a bunch of stuff that we're just doing to the baseline ones. If you want, or we're creating this new model and we're going to ship those out first. Kind of, how Tesla usually ships out their more expensive cars first.
Yep.
It's not something like that. They're not getting anything extra and saying like, would you like to pay this extra money to get the ones coming out first?
So I think this is probably something, Rivian's not dumb. They knew this would be pretty rough. Like, that looks bad and not honoring the previous price looks pretty bad, which leads me to believe they probably felt like they really had to do it.
Sure.
Which is probably a combination of, pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic prices in general have gone up over time.
So here's one thing to note real quick while you're saying that. Mm-hmm. Quinn in his tweet thread, which I want to link in the show notes because it's like 20 tweets long, but it's really, really interesting. Because he loved the car. He went to the press event out in Colorado with everybody. He made a reservation instantly. He came on the podcast, talked about it and how much he liked it. He tweeted, one of his tweets in the thread was, Rivian told me 5 months ago when I asked them about supply chain issues that COVID made it tricky, but they're confident they could ship the cars at the prices expected. Stuff hasn't changed that much in the last 5 months. Certainly not 20%. They lied to customers, investors, and myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The last part is his words, not mine, by the way.
Yeah, a company that thinks they're immune to supply chain issues is usually wrong.
Yeah, especially when you're in the process of building hype. You're building hype based on a certain price, and now...
And also, how can you be immune to supply chain issues if you're not already shipping the thing?
Yep.
Like you're saying, oh yeah, we're going to ship this truck in like a year and a half. It's not ready. It's not done. We're still in the process of putting things together. But we know we're going to be set. How? You would never know that far ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, projecting confidence is great for a public company, but now it's kind of backfiring.
It's backfiring real hard because I believe all of those people, I'm not sure about Zach, but Quinn and John both said they canceled their orders. And I saw multiple other tweets about it. Obviously, we're in a pretty niche tech sphere where a lot of people, ordered them potentially even to make videos on them. So I don't know how many people in the grand scheme. When we went back and talked about that, the like Mercedes markups that John had, also like people are going
crazy.
That was crazy, but we know people are going to buy that. So I'm sure there are plenty of people who will still pay this price. But it's just like a bad look from a new company trying to get their boots on the ground and like immediately kind of hurting and hitting their loyal customer base of a truck. That
if you want to establish a good reputation, not a great first step. Now, I think you're right. Rivian's probably done the math and realized that people will cancel those orders and other people will fill in and take those reservations at the higher price. No problem. It's going to happen. They're still going to sell a lot of these trucks because it's a good product. And that's where a lot of the leverage comes in. If this was like a I think I'm kind of interested. I put down the $75,000 and now it's $10,000 more. It's not worth it anymore. I think the leverage from it being a good product is what's so painful about this. But
that's why it hurts me so bad. I think this truck is awesome. It's not in the cards for me to get, but even seeing that happen makes me really sad because that truck I still think is the coolest EV I've gotten to like drive in so far.
All right, quick update. We're interjecting this clip right after we recorded There's since been an update about that Rivian story.
Yep.
So we just want to interject the correct information since we've recorded this has happened. Actually, this comes from John Rettinger, who's tweeted some screenshots from an email from Rivian since he is one of the people who canceled his pre-order. Rivian has actually decided to go back on two of the things that they changed. Number one, they are going to honor all previous orders before the price hike at their original prices.
Yeah.
And number two, they've decided that if anyone did cancel their order, they are willing to reinstate that order and at the original price.
Yeah, at the price they pre-ordered at. Yep.
This makes me think a ton of people canceled their orders.
I can only imagine, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, actually, we'll link this tweet in the show notes, but John sent out a screenshot from an email from Rivian. They talked about things like supply chain management and how prices have gone up and they needed to manage these things, but also didn't realize people thought the prices were locked and there was a miscommunication there. So yeah, they're willing. They've done the math on probably how many people pre-ordered and thought we'd rather have those people's money, even if it's at the lower price.
Yeah, for sure. And you have to give them credit for doing this.
Yeah, I guess we do. Yeah,
some credit at least. Yeah, but it's I'd be interested to see how many people bring their order back based on that price. But obviously, I'm sure the numbers got hit pretty hard. And as a company that recently went public, you don't want to drop numbers like that.
Yeah, I tweeted at John saying that makes it sound like a lot of people canceled. He tweeted back at me. I don't know where he got this, but he said rumor was over half of the pre-orders canceled. A public company would never tell anyone that.
No, yeah.
But if that's anywhere near the truth, yeah, that's the right
rough.
move.
If that's true, yeah.
So that's just an update on that story. Now back to the conversation.
Do you want to talk about another EV that might not ship?
Oh yeah, that's a great segue. We came into the studio today and somebody had put in the Slack a link to a Polestar blog post. They just posted on this Polestar O2 concept car.
Yeah.
And just from the preview and the thumbnail, I was like, ooh, that was kind of nice. I clicked it. I was like, this thing is sick. I hate seeing concept cars that I know for a fact will never ship that look super good.
Yeah.
Like you remember the Sony car at CES like 2 or 3 years ago, however long it was?
I've given up on trying to remember the Sony cars at CES.
Not that it was the coolest car ever, but it was like it had some cool ideas and it was a silver matte finish. It looked kind of nice.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was a Sony car sitting in a booth at CES, and at that moment I knew this car would never exist.
Yeah.
Now, Polestar is talking about, this is a concept car, so we're using this design inspiration and blah, blah, blah. There's lots of reasons why concept cars exist. But then they do these promo videos of the car driving around looking cool.
Yeah.
It's a render, so it's just sort of promo for Polestar. But we were watching the videos, and I think I like the look of the aesthetic a lot.
Let's try to describe it a little bit here. I thought it looked like a really, really modern, aggressive, sharp, like Nissan 350Z, like coupe roadster
from the future.
Exactly. Like kind of hatchback on the back, where it has that big lump on the back, and then straight down to a super sharp, almost like shark nose front end. And
it's like if the 350Z and the Cybertruck had a coupe baby.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And looked way cooler than the Cybertruck.
Way cooler lights. I'm a fan.
It has the very, very typical Polestar back single bar brake light that looks incredible back
there. It's very angular.
Yeah, convertible as well, which is of course in the renders had this really crazy way it folded back that we all know physics means that won't be able to happen like that. But it looked awesome except for the aero wheels.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about EVs. This is from a video we scrapped, but every electric car needs to have good aerodynamics, but also wants to look good.
Yep.
And so one of the things we've seen is all right, if you put the aero caps on a Tesla Model 3, it gets 7, 8, 9% longer range, but it looks way worse.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? So Tesla's solution is, you can just pop off this plastic piece. It'll look cooler. You'll get less range. But if you want more range, embrace the ugly aero wheel. A lot of other manufacturers are just shipping the car with an aero type cap, basically closing up the spokes on the wheel. The Taycan Cross Turismo testing right now has a bunch of black plastic over a lot of the wheel.
I think the Taycan is my favorite aero wheel so far, just because it kind of makes it look like a normal rim, and kind of when it gets dirty, you can obviously tell there's a lot of space taken up in the middle.
I would say this being your favorite is also the least efficient aero rim.
Exactly.
So, Polestar was trying to do an aero wheel of the future, and it kind of looks like just a big plus sign the way they did their cutout.
It's like the PlayStation X button.
Exactly.
Yeah. It looks terrible, but it's a concept.
I think in black it would look fine.
I think it would look okay in black.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks bad. But anyways, to the fun part of the video.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're watching the video in the studio, and then we see, it's kind of like it's driving through this rendered Mojave Desert looking type thing, but then a drone flies over the back, and we see a shot of like, oh, wow, in the future, they're even like rendering in a drone to like fly over the car.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like extra effort put in so people would wonder more if it's a render or real life, because why in a render would you put a drone flying over the back? Like, oh, we accidentally got the drone in the shot from a
real car. Yeah. Then we scroll down on the page, and at the bottom of the page, they detail that this car has a drone built into it.
Yeah.
And it's specifically built in to take off from the back of the car, get cool shots of the car as you're driving, and then land back on the car.
It even has it showed a top down of the car, and it has this like line straight down the middle of the rear trunk.
They made a whole video about this.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, is that just like a interesting design choice? I think it might have had the Polestar logo up there. And then that's the track for the drone to like pop out of this little like corridor and like slide down the track and then take off behind it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was like somebody in a boardroom was like, yo, all these car videos, we always have like drone shots. What if it was built into the car? Oh yeah, concept car of the future should definitely have a drone built in. And then they went over the top and they like made this track down the middle of the back of the car. And there's a software UI on the screen of the car, which lets you, I guess, sort of just position the drone in relative space around the car on the screen, and it just gets there and gets the POV shot of the car. So if you're driving around, you can just get shots while you're driving easily.
Target tracking, because we all know that every drone out there can keep up with an electric roadster.
Well, that was the funny part to me, is I think the drone is less realistic than the car.
It's far less realistic. It almost you mentioned before how concept cars will never see the light of the day. I think you mentioned when we were watching it that you're so mad you'll never get to actually see this car.
Yeah, but I'm only mad that I'll never see the Polestar because they won't make that car. Not that they can't.
Yeah.
I think they physically could make a car that looks like that, that is electric. It's an adjustment of the current Polestar, whatever. But it just wouldn't sell very much because it doesn't have great rear visibility, not a lot of space. Not everybody wants an expensive 4-door coupe with a convertible. It's like, oh, they wouldn't make it, but they could if they wanted to.
Just checking.
And then this drone is like, okay, theoretically, we have a drone that can pop out of the back of a car, take off from the back of the car, fly around, remote controlled by a system in the car, keep up with a car, have a long enough battery life to stay with the car, and then find the car again and land on it, and I guess charge from the car's battery. That doesn't exist.
No, that will never exist.
That will not happen.
Yeah, this went from me thinking I'm hoping they eventually do something that looks like this car, that looks similar. I do think there will eventually. I agree with you. There's not really that market of people wanting EV roadster coupes like that right now, because it seems like a lot of those people are super car enthusiasts and they want to see EV take a few steps forward before they're making that leap. We see Tesla coming out with it, but that we all know that still isn't quite out yet. But the drone to me just made it feel like I had a little hope that maybe it would come eventually,
and that just was concept car status.
They don't care.
Vapor, baby. It's great vapor.
Great video. Great looking car. I so hope something like that comes out in the future, because it looks really good.
It's kind of funny. We see all these car of the future designs, and they all kind of have this angular look, but that's not really any real car shipping yet. I'll say the Kia EV6, right?
That's great.
It's got some angles.
It's literally the angled version of the Ioniq 5.
Right. I think that's the most futuristic looking street car shipping.
Cybertruck Rivian.
Yeah.
Angle versus flat cheery, Wally versus killer yellow jacket robot.
But I'm I want to see more of these like angular, sharp things.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be cool.
I like angles. I love the new headlights that they're doing and stuff like that that fit with the angles really well. And just and then when you add all that without needing a grill, I think it all comes out really, really good.
Yeah. So I'm ready for that future of sharp, angular cars with drones that fly out the back someday.
Easy.
Eventually.
Probably in the next 2 years.
For sure.
After this ad break, probably.
Probably, yeah. Well, place your bets. Which will ship first, the Cybertruck or the drone that takes off from the back of the car and lands on it,
or the Faraday Future?
Oh God. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. For this next segment, I'm going to turn all of our cameras vertical because this podcast from today forward will now be on TikTok.
Yeah.
This is a TikTok podcast. Welcome to the Waveform TikTok. And that's just...
In like 10 parts, though.
I've buried the lead pretty hard.
Yeah.
The headline is TikTok extends max video length to over 10 minutes.
I think just 10 minutes. Is it over 10?
Oh, is it just 10?
I think it's just 10.
Oh, so we can't do the whole podcast then.
No, but like how all those people who rip content on TikTok, you just have to put part 1 on the bottom. So really easy, just a little swipe up and then...
That's funny because that was like a part of TikTok culture. The part 1, part 2 thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like what, like you get to 60 seconds, you'd be like, hey, quick, follow me for part 2. That's like a part of TikTok.
Yeah, and then the next 15 seconds of the next video is like recapping it. So that's brutal. I hate every second of it.
So RIP YouTube, it's over. 10-minute videos on TikTok, that's all we needed.
I don't see how YouTube can recover, to be honest.
They'll never survive.
But yeah, so TikTok comes out and announced that it already has increased the limit to 3 minutes before. Yep. I think we were kind of critical on that, but it was not too bad. 3 minutes is still extremely short content. Yep. If you're watching a video that's 3 minutes on YouTube, it's probably like a really fast skit or something like that. You don't see a lot. I think our average is probably like 12 minutes. I'd say average YouTube video is like 8 to 15.
Well, in this niche of, I call it a niche, but in this niche of professional creators looking to optimize in some way for the algorithm, you're going to see a lot of long videos.
Yeah.
I wonder about the rest of YouTube. I think there's a lot of shorter videos.
Sometimes I'm still stuck into when I first joined and we were making like 8-minute videos consistently.
Well, it's funny. A lot of older videos on this channel, I made a lot of really solid 5 to 7 minute videos. And back in those days, an 8-minute video was pretty long.
Yeah.
And then a 10-minute video was long. And sometimes you'd get accused because this is when you could only add mid-rolls to 10-minute plus videos. Because they added this feature where you could place mid-rolls.
We still get accused for that.
Yeah, but that's because people have no idea what the rolls are. But you get accused of like stretching a video out. Like, this video is unnecessarily long. It's 10 minutes and 12 seconds because what you wanted to add a mid-roll, which we never did that on purpose. No. But that was a long video back then. Now, I mean, I've said this before, but we play this like guessing game as a video gets edited. Like, how long do we think this one's going to be? A 9-minute video is pretty short.
It's very short.
It's pretty short. So yeah, in terms of creators who adapt to the algorithm and the environment that YouTube is, long videos.
I think since YouTube's getting bigger and becoming more of the norm for people to watch, attention spans are growing also. This is more, YouTube's more of at the point where you can go home, sit on your couch and turn on your smart TV rather than just being on break at work and watching an 8-minute video.
So that's one thing. Phone. I think that's also a different level of commitment to watching something and like how much free time you have. Because a lot of times if I have 5-10 minutes, I'm not going to watch a 5-minute video. I'm going to open up TikTok and watch 100 videos because that's all. And I don't have to commit to anything. Like I get to the end and I'm like, I'm bored now. And I put it away.
Yeah.
And that's where TikTok excels. So it's fascinating seeing, if you land on TikTok, I've seen some TikToks where like they really go on for a while. Like, how long is this video? And I check the scroll bar and I'm like, this is 1.5 minutes. This is a long video on TikTok. What are you going to do when you get to a 10-minute TikTok?
Swipe very fast.
Swipe, yeah.
Yeah. I hope there's like I know there won't be, but I wish there was something that said that it was a long video, like a little icon that showed it was longer because...
Just a scroll bar.
Yeah, like you said, my TikTok habits are very like, I just want to scroll through things. Maybe I'm like about to get off the couch and go to bed, but I don't feel like it yet. Or I'm laying in bed and about to go to sleep and I'm just rifling through a bunch. I always play this game where it's like one more good one, good one, and then I'll go to bed.
Yeah.
But throwing 10-minute videos in there seems insane to me.
Yeah. If a normal TikTok is, let's say, 30 seconds long, sitting on, if you open up TikTok, you're already in this mental space of short, and your attention span is ready for something 12 seconds long to give you that instant gratification. I don't know that a 10-minute video can blow up. I might be proven wrong, but I don't know that a 10-minute video on TikTok in its current state will have quite the same traction ability as a 20-second video.
I agree with that. I feel like the only space I can really see it being beneficial in is like if it is a 10-minute video that lives on a user's page but doesn't necessarily hit the For You page, whereas like somebody makes something that's super viral or posts a video of maybe an incident that happened that's really viral, and then you want to know more about what happened in that, and then you go to their page and it's like, here's a 10-minute video up to 10 minutes that can describe it, because then you don't have to describe it in 1 minute or less or whatever.
Yeah.
But flipping through the For You page, if I went from like a 10-second video to a 10-minute video and it just kept jostling all over there, I feel like it's changing the entire atmosphere of how I use that app and how probably most people use that app.
Also, from a creative perspective, I think a lot of the craft of social media is creating for the platform, and specifically like having to sculpt and shave things to fit. Like, how many times have I made a tweet that's 190 characters and I'm like, all right, I need to find 60 I need to find a bunch of words I can cut out of this tweet to make it. Well, now, 240 now.
Just before someone tells
it used
you
to be
you're wrong.
It used to only be 160 or whatever.
Yeah.
How many times have Vine creators probably had a 7-second video that they're like, how can I take 1 second out of this edit so it can fit on Vine, right? And for TikTok, it's been, it was 60 seconds. For Shorts, it currently is still 60 seconds. Like, part of that craft for making a short, for me as a creator, is, all right, we shot this whole thing, we had this great idea, we explained it, we showed it, we demoed it, tied it up in a bow, and it's 1 minute and 6 seconds long. All right, how are we going to cut 6 seconds out of this video? So I don't know that TikTok adding 10-minute videos, waters it down in any way. I think it removes the restriction of like what we were doing to fit things into TikTok, which is still like, it has to be vertical. I guess that's one thing.
Yeah, because IGTV did so great previously. Vertical video, thing of the future.
IGTV did not float. It sank.
No, it sank hard, like a rock. Do you think there's anything behind adding 10 minutes to like TikTokers getting very famous and big and then wanting to make longer form content, so going to YouTube? So this is possibly to get less people leaving the platform?
I don't know. I don't think that's why they left for YouTube, though. I think they left for monetization.
I think that is another thing as well. But doing TikTok content on YouTube just for monetization, you have to change your whole thing, because making a minute-long video on YouTube is not the way to go.
Well, that's what a lot of short-form creators figure out, is that when you want to migrate to YouTube, you kind of have to engage and do things for longer than 10 seconds. So they're so used to being incredibly short form and really engaging and popped right off the bat and making something in 30 seconds that it's a new challenge and a new skill to extend and build something out for a couple minutes long. Kind of the opposite of what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm a YouTuber, makes 10-minute videos.
Yeah.
How am I going to make a short? Oh God, I got to trim something out.
Yeah.
They're thinking the other way around. All right, I'm used to making things real short, and now I want to make YouTube videos, and people's attention spans on YouTube and rewarding watch time mean I have to stretch things out to reach like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is a whole challenge.
Hard.
So yeah, I don't know what's harder, shortening a 10-minute thing to 1 minute or extending a 1 minute thing to 10 minutes. It's like when you have to reach the character count on your essay and you just start writing the same thing over and over.
You just increase the size of all the periods to 14 font instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure. Do you think there will be mid-rolls in TikTok videos now?
I said that as a joke. I don't think they can do that.
I don't think they can either.
I don't think you see a mid-roll and a TikTok and don't swipe.
Yeah.
Or get furious.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see metrics of how these work. I am not looking forward to having to swipe through them in my For You page, for sure. It just doesn't feel like the thing for me.
TikTok's analytics aren't that great. And so on YouTube, I can tell how far people watch into a video, like a 3-minute video or whatever, 10-minute video. I can see actually a chart of when people leave and what percent are still watching by every minute. TikTok doesn't show that. I bet they know.
I'm sure that's how they know.
That's how they surface videos. Yeah. But if you're out here trying to make like 10-minute TikToks now, your only metric for success is like, did people actually watch it and not skip it? Did it actually accumulate views and get shared?
And I guess we don't know the metric of how many seconds into a video is considered a view
on TikTok. Yeah, I don't know. No idea. Do you think YouTube's going to copy this for Shorts? Because YouTube, I
think that would be so funny. I hope they don't. They're already stricter with the 60 second. Yeah,
I hope they don't.
It would make no sense.
Yeah, if you want to make a 10-minute YouTube video, then just make a 10-minute YouTube video. If you want to make a 10-minute vertical YouTube video, you can already do that. Yeah. It's not a short. It's a long video.
That's a good point. It would literally ruin the name of Shorts.
Yeah, the whole point of Shorts is we already have 10-minute videos. Here's a place for the short ones. I think they can't possibly copy it.
It would also be funny if Instagram copied it with Reels, because then they're just recreating IGTV again.
Which would make sense.
It would have better discoverability than Reels, IGTV did, because that was a mess.
Yeah, Reels would actually, I could see them. 10 minutes is a long time, but I could, but they need a scroll bar. Because you can't scroll Instagram. Don't have one? You can't scrub through Instagram videos.
I would like a better one on TikTok also. I think it's a pain in the neck. And I didn't know it existed until like a month ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty decent. I mean, it's just a little preview thing, right?
Yeah, but like sometimes it doesn't show up, I feel like.
I think short videos, it doesn't show up.
Okay.
I think it has to be over a certain length, maybe 30 seconds, then it shows up.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Instagram, exactly you used to have to be on a MacBook Pro with the touch bar, and you would have the scrub show up on the touch bar. Best feature of the touch bar by far.
Bring back the touch bar.
That was the only reason it was good. So on a Mac, you could have on a browser. On a browser right now, it plays like a QuickTime video. But on your phone, if I get to a 10-minute Instagram reel and I can't scroll through it, I'm skipping.
Yeah,
I'm skipping.
Easy.
So they got to adjust that. Speaking of Instagram, though. Wow, Marquez, that was great.
Good job.
Speaking of Instagram, I tweeted, what was it, 2-3 days ago, that this is just another random shower thought tweet that turns into a conversation.
Yep.
The year is 2022, and there is no iPad Instagram app. If you open the Instagram app on an iPad, it looks hilarious. It's just a scaled iPhone app, and you hit the 2x button and it blows up an iPhone on an iPad, which is like, I don't know. There's a lot of pretty good iPad apps. Instagram doesn't make one. A couple hours after that, Adam Mosseri, love him, actually answered my tweeted back at me, said, yep, we get this one a lot, which, Adam, I know. I'm sure he's tired of answering this all the time. But he actually sort of explained a little bit. He said, it's just not a big enough group of people to be a priority, hoping to get it at some point, but right now, we're very heads down on other things. And I was kind of curious about that, so I replied. I mean, I'm not an executive at a tech company for a reason. No,
we obviously, he knows Instagram better than us. I think it's safe to say that.
I would say he's the most qualified person to answer this.
Yeah.
But I sort of poked back like, well, if you made a great Instagram app for iPad, wouldn't a lot of people start using it? Like, nobody uses it now because it's terrible. It's awful. So if you made one, they will come. His response was really interesting. So, number one, each Surface adds overhead. We support iOS, Android, the web, and IG Lite, and Android is the largest of those. All true.
Yeah, but you're also Facebook, so I don't
We'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah. So two, he says TikTok and YouTube are behemoths. People share more in messages than they do to stories or feeds. So we need to adapt. People share more in messages than they do to stories.
I think what he's saying is that like people are using the private messaging tool in Instagram rather than the sharing tool, but they don't make any money off of private messaging. Like he wants to get more people sharing things. So I guess that's what they're working on rather than, that's how I took that at least.
And three, we are leaner than you think. So yeah, I get it. So first of all, Yes, they make an Android version. I don't think there's a well-optimized Android tablet Instagram app either. Not asking for one, just saying there isn't one. And on the web, yeah, Instagram works fine. You can now upload from the web now, which is really cool. Those surfaces gain more and more features every day. But I still don't understand not adding, like I think it would be pretty easy to make a decent Instagram iPad app.
I think that's a fair thought. And I know we are not developers.
I'm not a developer.
Full disclosure, if you haven't heard the dumb stuff we've talked about developing apps before.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine, compared to the other things that they're making, they made IGTV. That was its own app. Did that have an iPad app actually?
Not a specific app. It had its separate app, but
would have made way more sense than iPad as content, a way to consume content rather than a way to like. So the number 2 here sticks out to me a lot because they're specifically saying they want more people sharing things and consuming content rather than just direct messages. Whereas a phone seems like the immediate space I would go to if I were messaging somebody, and an iPad, to me, when I'm on that, I'm only there to consume content.
I think that's good perspective. I think a lot of fellow creators were looking at like, I like using the iPad as my only computer. And if I could have a full-fledged Instagram experience on the iPad, that would make it a dramatically more useful computer to me. Yeah. Because right now the Instagram, like I said, the Instagram iPad app is just the iPhone app blown up and pixelated.
Yeah.
I think his number 3 point sticks out to me the most. We're leaner than you think. Because, Facebook owns Instagram. We know this.
Yeah.
They're separately organized and managed, of course, but I don't think the
money's there.
The money, exactly. If I was Facebook, if I was if I was running Instagram and I said, hey, can we grab a quick billion and like a couple developers because we're going to make an Instagram app? I don't think Facebook would go, no, we don't want that. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people were tweeting at me. The iPad also doesn't have a calendar. It does have a calendar. It also doesn't have a calculator. And I asked Apple about this. I was like, hey, Craig, why is there no... I don't think he was expecting me to answer this. But I said, why is there no calculator app on the iPad?
There's some things that we have not done because to do it, we would want to do something really distinctly great in that space. And I think it's obviously easy to create a calculator app, but creating one that feels like, wow, this is the greatest iPad calculator app that it felt like. I think we want to do it when we can do it really, really well. And we honestly have just haven't gotten around to doing it great. So that day may come, but.
And to me, they are saying like, we haven't quite thought of or made the best one yet. So we just haven't made one. And in my head, I went, you're Apple.
Yeah.
You have
it's a calculator.
Infinite resources to make a solid calculator app. And you haven't done it.
I don't like that.
Is Apple leaner than we think? I don't know. I think they just don't want to make a calculator app. They could obviously spin one up if they wanted to, but they have such high standards that for some reason none of their possible versions
calculators just aren't cool enough.
Calculators aren't cutting it. And I kind of see this answer from Adam along the same lines. Like, okay, we're leaner than you think, fine. But if you wanted to make a solid Instagram app, I think you could.
I think they could.
I think they could make a 2-column, like creator-focused, tab on one hand, and then obviously a big full-screen, high-resolution feed on the other. I think you could see full-screen vertical videos, and it would be no problem. I think they could build an Instagram app, no problem. But I think it wouldn't be amazing. And they want it to be amazing, and so they just didn't do it at all. Now they're doing other things.
I think you're giving them a lot of credit.
I'm trying to.
No,
I'm like devil's
optimism.
advocate. I just want them to just make it, obviously. But
I just think there's so many people whose livelihoods are based on social media posting. I mean, Instagram is one of those things where if you're an influencer on there, you can build an entire job out of that, right? Like posting and everything to it, and having to do all of that like through your phone. You still can't upload photos on desktop, right?
No, you can.
You can.
You can now.
They finally.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like analytics aren't that great, and like scrolling through shorts or reels isn't that great. You're just sort of in your feed.
And like, imagine all the people who are traveling. There are so many traveling Instagram influencers that would much rather carry an iPad that they could do the majority of their work on rather than just a small phone. I know that's still, and that is going towards what he says, that like the group isn't large enough for this, but I do think there's a lot of people who consume media as well on top of that, and it just seems like a win-win for both parties that are using Instagram.
Yeah. As far as surfaces that add overhead, Android being the biggest one, totally get that. And they have to optimize all kinds of different versions for different resolutions in Android phones, and that's a lot of work. And then every feature that they add to Instagram, they also have to optimize for every version for all these different Android versions. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. But the iPad is the most popular tablet in the world, and it's only one version. You make one iPad app, and it works with all of the iPads. I think that would be easier.
Yeah.
I think that would be easier than the Android challenge. I don't know. Adam, come on the podcast, man. I think here's your formal invitation. I think you'd come on the podcast.
I think you would come on. Yeah.
Just to talk. Obviously, I don't want to grill you on the one question you've answered 1,000 times.
If we sound really nice, we definitely are. We actually are, but
yeah. No, I think that would be fun because there's all kinds of creator questions. He's actually, by the way, he's one of the most transparent.
I have to give him a lot of credit for that.
Executives of any social media platform. I've talked to a couple of them. I've talked to Mark Zuckerberg in a video. I've talked to a bunch of social media people, the Satya Nadellas of the world, even Sundar Pichai at Google. Adam on Twitter, ironically, all the time posts new updates about things that they're working on, that they are planning on adding, and that they are prioritizing at Instagram. If you're a creator and you don't follow Adam on Twitter, you're missing out on a lot of good information about how they look at Instagram and how they run things and how they actually think about things. So I'm, of course, poking him on like the one thing that I can't believe they haven't done yet. But there's a lot of good stuff.
I appreciate the transparency, and it's not easy to be transparent on social media where then a bunch of people like us can, because like he answered you. There were like 40 articles out that day about how iPad's never getting an Instagram app. So like just a quick little response like that, and then it just kind of blows up in your face, kind of. So sorry if that ruined your day.
No, I think it's useful information. Yeah. Useful information. Appreciate that. Anyway, what else? We're going to talk about. Oh, there's another. We have one more thing that they announced on Instagram, which is just like, oh, what are Instagram's priorities? And then they added 3D avatars to stories and DMs. Which is
because it's a key building block for the future of personal identity in the metaverse. So, as us, listen, we know Facebook is now Meta or whatever. I refuse to call it that. And the metaverse is a priority over there. But it stings so much more not really caring about the metaverse.
Why don't you take those developers and make an iPad app with them? Anyway.
Also, real quick, Adam here posted, the better Adam, posted that there are 450 employees at Instagram.
That is a very small number.
That is leaner than I thought. You are right.
As of 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, you are correct. Other Adam, that is leaner than I thought.
Yeah.
But I still think they could make an Instagram app.
I think they could hire 100 more with a couple extra dollars and make an Instagram app. That's what I'll leave it at that. Let's take a quick break and talk games. All right, welcome back. I finished my app.
It's done?
Yeah.
Is it on the App Store?
No, it got denied.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, so no app, sorry. But we do have a Steam Deck here.
Ta-da!
There you go. So I wanted to ask you about this. Resident gamer, you've probably put the most gaming hours. Actually, I don't know. Out of anyone
David
here?
does play a lot, but I'm also older than him, so I win.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the Steam Deck.
Okay.
So just for those who haven't seen, because I've actually gotten a lot of questions from people who see this and are like, what is it and should I get it?
Yeah.
Picture a Nintendo Switch, 1.5 times the size, all black, tons of extra custom controls, quad panel pads on the back, like touch pads on the front, A, B, X, Y buttons. It's made by Valve. It's got a full-on OS and it runs Steam and can play games in your Steam library. That is the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Attachable to like Joy-Cons, but like this is strictly handheld. This is I shouldn't say that. You can hook this up
You can.
With a deck that is not out yet,
You
I
can,
believe.
right. And then you could play with like a mouse and keyboard if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But this is a portable gaming console.
Yeah, so this is like really trying to actually hit. We all know the Switch and Nintendo is genius. I love it. But Nintendo games are generally a little like lower key. Graphics aren't as intense. It's more like fun party stuff, games like that, Mario Kart, Mario Party, you know.
Bright and
all of that.
colorful.
Exactly, yeah. This is trying to bring like actual PC games handheld, which is obviously much, much, much harder.
It's a challenge. So how do you feel about the concept in general of like, there's some games in your Steam library. Do you ever desire to play those games away from your mouse and keyboard at all?
So right now, I'm a person who plays one game pretty much at a time, and I get really into that. Right now, that game's not on Steam, and it's a game that is it's called Valorant. It's a tactical shooter. It's like very intense with precision of your mouse, so it would be impossible to play on a controller. So not really, but there are games out there. Rocket League is the main thing I think of when I think Steam Deck. Because Rocket League works amazing on a controller, best on a controller. All the pros are playing on a controller. And this would work so well for that. And that is on Steam. And I've downloaded it. And it's awesome.
It's been my best Steam Deck experience for sure.
Yes. And that's a very interesting point you put up because there are a lot of reviews out. We have not gotten a lot of time to play with this yet. This is kind of like a first impressions to us. We both set it up. The setup process was a little tricky. I think it was mostly our internet that was kind of being a problem.
Yeah.
In the setup process, I was having some issues with the touchscreen. I don't think they were too crazy. Typing every once in a while didn't feel great. The overall build quality of this, I think, is solid. It's light, and I think I like that it's light versus if it was like super solid feeling, because if you're going to hold this in your hands, it's going to get tiring.
Right.
I don't like these D-pads at all. They're kind of just big squares under the analog sticks.
Oh, the touchpads.
The joysticks.
Yeah.
Are they touchpads?
They both.
Click.
They click, but you can also use them as moving a mouse and cursor around.
I guess that's in games, because in the regular Steam library, they do not do that. They do work as D-pads, but the click on them feels terrible.
Yeah. So I think this is the biggest challenge for the Steam Deck, which is what you said at the beginning, which is the games you play.
Yeah.
If you play a bunch of games that work best with a mouse and keyboard, your challenge is going to be translating that mouse and keyboard control experience to some of the buttons and surfaces on the Steam Deck. And if you can do that, which you do have lots of custom controls and you can map things and sort of get a similar experience, it won't be as precise probably, but you can do stuff with the mapping, then you can play that mouse and keyboard game on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But it will never be as good as the mouse and keyboard.
No, and I guess if you're mobile gaming, you're kind of okay with that a lot of the time.
Right.
One thing I noticed a lot of reviewers saying, and since we had a Steam library and we've only tested some we haven't gone through that yet, but the curated list for Steam Deck specific games was not great. And I still think they added it and it's still not too good. Which is a problem if you're buying the Steam Deck and you're not on a PC, because the price on $400, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's a crazy good price.
Pretty good price.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who buy this that are using Steam for their first time because of this. And they're going to have a hard time downloading games or finding games that work correctly for it or work well on it or optimized for it.
Okay, so this I think is the one other thing that's come up a lot about the Steam Deck. As I've been using it, it's been getting constant software updates, like major software updates, like not just bug fixes, but like adding features and like the ability to play certain games and map certain things. They've been basically building the software of this thing in the background as we're using it and reviewing it. I think if you were to buy one right now, today, it would still feel pretty early. And there's a lot of games that aren't really well optimized. There's not a lot of games that are as good as Rocket League on this thing. And I think if you were to wait like 6 months and get a feel for the landscape and see how things pan out, you can get a better idea if the games you want to play will work well on this. I mean, they'll work, but will they work well is the question.
Yeah, and they do have something which I'm sure they'll build into their search eventually, where if you're in your existing Steam Deck or your existing Steam library and you install a game, it'll kind of bring up this pop-up of like what works well with Steam Deck, what doesn't work well with Steam Deck, or just what's completely just not compatible.
Doesn't work at all.
Yeah. And I found that being really interesting with some things. Rocket League, which is like green checks down the whole thing.
Yep.
CSGO, I'm trying to load it right now because I feel like this is going to be basically impossible to play. It does work. I'm on here. It looks choppy, and playing with a controller would be almost impossible. But then I was looking at a game like Fall Guys, which I have on Steam. Feels perfect for a Steam Deck. The issue arises is that a lot of these multiplayer games have anti-cheat third-party software.
Yep.
That isn't going to be compatible with this, and that is one of them.
I heard. So that's. Can you explain that? So there's games that are at a certain level of competitiveness.
Yeah. Wait. Look. This is gyro.
Yeah.
Gyroscopic.
That's solid control.
That sounds crazy.
Not precise.
Just in the middle of us talking, I loaded up CS:GO, and it's gyroscopic. Oh, interesting. Okay. So if I move the controller. That's actually an interesting way to try and do this. So left analog stick is walk. Right analog stick kind of snaps you about 90 degrees, left, right. Okay. And then slightly moving the entire Steam Deck is what gives you the precision.
It's a good thing it's lightweight.
I mean, you're never going to actually be able to play this, but it feels better than, and I just died, and the frame rate's terrible. But yeah. CSGO tactical shooters are just not going to be something that's going to do that. But I think going back to what I was saying before, a game like Fall Guys, like I would kill to play.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the anti-cheat.
What is anti-cheat? There's certain games that are competitive enough where the developers have gone, all right, we want to add anti-cheat into our game to prevent people from like hacking and getting super good. So they add that. And that anti-cheat software is only compatible with certain
It's a third-party software that's running in the background after you launch the game to basically make sure you're not running any programs that are known for cheating. So Fall Guys specifically, there were ones where pretty much like you remember Fall Guys, you just like, it's a bunch of maps. It's basically a race to the end and a bunch of different obstacles. People could just like jump in the air and fly over everybody. And there's like a bunch of different cheats. It sounds really stupid for a game like Fall Guys because it doesn't feel that competitive, but it unfortunately was.
Just keeps it fun for everyone when that's not happening everywhere.
Yeah, but the problem with that is now that since people were cheating, they have to add this software, which is not compatible. I believe if I go and try and do it on here, it just says that this game's anti-cheat is not configured to support Steam Deck and still lets me install. But I can just assume that it's not going to let me play after that.
Yeah. So it sounds like a lot of these games, anti-cheat software only works with like Windows or Linux and won't let you play if you're not using one of those OSs.
So far, at least. I guess it will probably be up to the developers to be able to find some solution for that with Steam Deck if it's something that will be that they think will do well on it. But I'm not totally sure how they're going to approach that. Fall Guys probably not being the best example now because it's much less popular than it used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there are games on here. I think there's a lot of indie games, side scrollers, like stuff like that people do really like. Cuphead, all sorts of games like that. People will love to play. I would love to play it on this because the screen looks great. The controls, besides the touchpads that I don't love, all feel great. Triggers, lots of customizable buttons.
Yeah.
You have noticed, and we need to test this more, the charging speeds have been pretty rough.
Yeah, I want to try a couple other chargers because I plugged in a 65 watt OnePlus charger just to the USB Type-C port at the top, and it charged like 50% in 8 hours or something, which was obviously not working correctly. Yeah. So I need to see if that's just the charger. Should I use the first party one only? Should I update the software and will it fix itself? I don't know yet. But to me, the most interesting part about the Steam Deck actually is who is it for? Because number one, I always find it a challenge to review things that I know that I'm specifically not in the target demographic for. And when I think of the Steam Deck, I think of someone who wouldn't also have a Nintendo Switch. So a Switch is someone who's like a casual gamer who's just, the Switch killed. It had great sales. Like people love that thing on planes. They love that like under their TV, casual games all the time. I think of the Steam Deck as someone who specifically doesn't want the Switch, but does want to play some of those other games on the go.
That's how I do think it could convert Switch users, because I think there are a lot of Switch users who play more intense games at home, but that aren't available mobile. So the Switch, they're just playing a different style of game. Not to say there aren't some competitive games on Switch or whatever, but in general, like I play Valorant, but when we go on a plane, I'm gonna bring my Switch and I'm just gonna play Mario Kart for like 8 hours on the plane.
If you had a Steam Deck,
I'd rather play Rocket League.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, that's online, but still, there are other games out there that I think I would rather play on this than I would on that. And I do think there will be people converting. And then if I could bring this, set it up with a mouse and keyboard in my hotel room and play Valorant, I know that couldn't be it, or CSGO or something like that. That sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, because then at that point, you don't also bring a gaming laptop. Yeah. You just bring the Steam Deck and maybe a couple extra little accessories.
Yeah.
Okay.
$400 is a killer price.
That's true. Exactly. You're not going to get a gaming laptop for $400. So there you go.
You're not going to get a Chromebook for
that's a sad fact. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm going to keep testing this thing out. I'm going to play a bunch of different games. Like I suggested in the YouTube short, tell me what games I should play specifically on it. Because I've played Rocket League and I like it a lot. I'm going to try some other stuff.
That's a good point.
Yeah, working on the review.
Game suggestions for sure. I know there's 10,000 like indie games out there on Steam that are still like fun stuff, like Cuphead, that we should play, because get out of the comfort zone a little bit to do this, because this review is just going to be out of the comfort zone for sure.
Exactly.
Awesome.
I'll try it. Well, until then, make sure you're subscribed to, of course, the Shorts channel, but also the main channel, and also the Waveform channel, and also this Waveform Clips channel,
and the studio,
and also the studio channel.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have much else to say. It's been an interesting week. Thanks for listening to the Waveform podcast, the EV podcast. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina. We are partnered with Vox Media, and our intro-outro music was created by Vane Sill.